It wasn't found in a police raid. It wasn't handed over by a witness. It was hidden deep inside a dusty plastic storage bin, behind stacks of children's clothes no one had touched in months. A single envelope, unmarked, except for 6 words. Not to be opened unless something happens. Inside, the handwriting was rushed, almost frantic, a mother's voice captured in ink, speaking from a place of fear most of us will never know. In this letter, Malehya didn't talk about love or birthdays or the simple memories a parent cherishes. She spoke about taking her children away, about keeping them from Daniel at all costs. She wrote of changes in his eyes, of things she'd seen that she could never forget. And then came the line that would silence an entire room of investigators. If you're reading this, it's already too late. The CPS held this letter in their hands for days before the public ever heard a word about it. And when they finally stepped to the podium, what they revealed was far more than anyone was ready to hear. This is not just a missing persons case anymore. This is a story about warnings ignored, truths buried, and a question no one can shake. Was this letter the desperate act of a mother trying to protect her children, or a confession from someone who already knew they'd never be coming home? But before we dive into this, kindly subscribe to our channel if you believe in fighting for justice. We've just crossed 3,000 subscribers, all because of your support, and we need that same energy to reach 4,000, then 5,000, and then 10,000. So go ahead and drop your fingerprints on that subscribe button, and also comment where you are watching from, because wherever you are, the day this vision is fulfilled, I will send my appreciation straight to you. Let's keep building this community that fights for justice together. It had been days since Lily and Jack Sullivan were last seen. Days of unanswered calls, doors left ajar in the wind, and a community that could no longer sleep without checking their phones every hour. When the CPS spokesperson finally walked into the small municipal hall in Pictou County, the air inside felt like glass, fragile, waiting to shatter. Every camera lens turned, every pen hovered above the page. In her hands was the letter, not a photocopy. The real thing. You could see the fold lines, the smudge of ink near the signature, the faint crease where someone's thumb had pressed into the paper too tightly. She began not with reassurance, but with a warning. This is a deeply troubling document. Its contents will be shared in part, but some details are not suitable for public release. Then came the sentences that would send ripples through the town. The letter indicates a premeditated plan to remove the children from their home. It names specific fears about an individual known to both children, and it strongly suggests that the writer believed harm was imminent. For a moment, the room was still. Even the camera shutters seemed hesitant, because this wasn't just another procedural update. This was the first time the public heard there might have been a chance to stop this, and that chance had slipped through everyone's fingers. The letter wasn't typed. It wasn't polished. It looked as if it had been written in a hurry. The kind of hurry that comes when your hands are shaking, and the clock is not on your side. The handwriting slanted downward, words crowded together, as though they were racing each other to get to the end. The ink bled in certain spots, small dark pools where the pen had pressed too long against the paper. And near the bottom, a faint blur, as if a tear had fallen and dragged the ink with it. In the letter, Malehya spoke directly to no one, and yet to everyone. She didn't name herself, she didn't say where she was, but she named Daniel. She wrote of her fear that the children were not safe with him. She wrote of nights she claimed to have heard things, sounds she couldn't explain, questions Jack asked that she didn't want to answer. Then came the line that froze everyone in that room. I am trying to get Lily and Jack away from him before something happens. If anyone finds this, know that I tried to do what was right. The silence after those words was almost unbearable. Because whether you believed Malehya or not, the truth was this: her letter was a desperate act, and it was written before the children disappeared. The letter wasn't the first warning, not even close. CPS had been inside that home before, multiple times, and each time they left, with files that tell a story most people in Pictou County have never read, and may never get to. There were welfare checks, triggered by anonymous tips and concerned neighbors. One report described faint bruising on Jack's upper arm, in the shape of fingers. It was written off as rough play. Another time, a teacher noted Lily's change in demeanor. A little girl who had once been talkative, curious and always smiling, had become quiet, withdrawn, and hesitant to make eye contact. The observation was filed, but no follow-up interview was ever scheduled. Then there were the medical records. A doctor flagged possible neglect after an exam, but marked the report incomplete because follow-up details were never provided by the caseworker. And when case statuses should have been escalated, when a pattern was forming that screamed for intervention, they were instead downgraded. Files marked low risk, visits reduced instead of increased. Each downgrade was another opportunity lost, and each lost opportunity brought Lily and Jack one step closer to where we are now. The letter raises more questions than it answers. Why was it hidden, tucked so far away it took weeks for investigators to find? If Malehya truly feared for Lily and Jack's safety, why didn't she leave it somewhere obvious, somewhere it couldn't be ignored? And if she feared Daniel so much, why wasn't there a single documented legal action against him? No restraining order, no emergency custody petition, no formal complaint, not one. Was this letter a desperate warning, a final cry for help that never reached the right eyes, or was it something else? An excuse prepared in advance, in case the truth about what happened to Lily and Jack ever came to light. The handwriting was rushed, the ink smudged, but the intention behind it, that's where the mystery lies. Because this wasn't just a note, it was a piece of a puzzle, and right now, it's the piece everyone is afraid to place on the table. The letter is short, just under a page. But each sentence feels like a weight, pulling you under. First line, they don't know what he's capable of. Who was she warning? CPS? The police? A future reader? And more importantly, what did she see in Daniel Martel that no one else would or could acknowledge? Then I've seen the change in his eyes. It's the kind of line that freezes you. It suggests a before and an after, a shift from the man she once trusted to someone she may have feared. And finally, the most chilling of all, if you're reading this, it's already too late. Too late for what? Too late to save them. Too late to escape. Or too late to stop what she feared would happen. CPS has confirmed the handwriting is Malehya's. No forgery, no misattribution. These were her words, her warnings. But the silence that followed, the inaction, makes those words feel less like a warning and more like a prophecy. The letter is short, barely a page, but every single line lands like a stone in the gut. It's not rambling, it's not chaotic, it's deliberate. Every word, chosen. The first line reads, "They don't know what he's capable of." It's vague, and yet painfully clear. This wasn't about a minor argument or a bad day. It was a warning, a plea. A sentence that should have set off alarms, loud enough to wake the whole town. Who was they? CPS? The police? Or was she talking about all of us? Next she writes, "I've seen the change in his eyes." That's not just fear talking. That's recognition. Something in Daniel Martel shifted, and Malehya saw it. The kind of shift that makes you stop trusting the man in your own home. The kind of shift that turns a partner into a stranger. And then the line that takes the air out of the room. If you're reading this, it's already too late. Too late for what? Too late to stop him. Too late to get the children to safety. Or too late for her. For weeks, this letter sat unseen, buried somewhere it should never have been hidden. CPS confirmed today, the handwriting is Malehya's. This isn't speculation. This isn't rumor. These are her words, written by her own hand. And yet, nothing was done when she wrote them. The question now isn't just what did she know. It's, why didn't anyone act when there was still time? When the letter's contents were made public, it was like a second earthquake hit Pictou County. The grandmother, standing on the porch of her weather-beaten home, could barely find the words. Her voice cracked, and through tears she whispered, if she knew, why didn't she speak? It wasn't anger. It wasn't even accusation. It was disbelief. A grief that didn't know where to go. The volunteers, those who had walked miles of back roads, scoured ditches, combed fields in the pouring rain, felt something darker, frustration. Not at the children, not even at Malehya, but at the fact that they had been searching blind. All those hours, and a letter that might have guided them, had been sitting in a drawer somewhere. And then came the online storm. Half the posts defended Malehya, pointing out that fear can cage a person, that speaking out can sometimes be the most dangerous move. They saw her as a mother trapped. The other half accused her outright, said she had as much to answer for as Daniel, that this wasn't a warning, it was a confession. Every new detail wasn't just another headline. It was another crack in the community, a place already worn down by too many unanswered questions. By late afternoon, the steps of the CPS headquarters became the stage for something no one expected, an admission. The spokesperson stood behind the podium, her hands gripping the edges, as if holding on for balance. Her voice didn't rise, didn't falter, but the words themselves carried the weight of failure. We failed to connect the dots. We will not make that mistake again. For weeks, silence had been the only language from officials. Now, there was something else: accountability. And with it, a promise. The CPS laid out a renewed plan, widening the search far beyond the immediate area. New locations were named for the first time: forgotten logging trails, and remote hunting cabins, deep in the backcountry. Cabins tied to Daniel's own relatives. It wasn't just about combing the same ground again. It was about looking in places that, until now, had been dismissed. Places where someone could hide, and never be found unless you knew exactly where to look. The mood in that moment shifted. It wasn't relief, it wasn't victory, but it was movement. And after weeks of feeling stuck, movement felt like oxygen. Asterisk for a case that had been starved of progress. The smallest spark now felt like a flare in the night. The CPS confirmed that the letter, the one hidden away for reasons no one yet understands, had stirred something. Credible leads were coming in. Not vague tips or recycled rumors, but details precise enough to act on. Within hours, canine units were back on the move. Their handlers, silent and focused, tracing new coordinates, whispered over radio channels. It was a return to the hunt, but this time, guided by something more tangible than hope alone. And the public, they were called upon again. A direct appeal. If you see Lily and Jack, if you see anything out of place, if you hear a voice where no one should be, call us. Do not wait. Do not assume someone else will. The words were firm, urgent, meant to pierce the fog of uncertainty that had settled over the community. For the first time in weeks, people weren't just waiting for news, they were part of it. The shift was almost immediate. By nightfall, candles were flickering again along Main Street, the same spot where vigils had once burned nightly in the first desperate days. People stood shoulder to shoulder, strangers passing lighters, murmuring prayers that floated into the cool evening air. The volunteer boards filled faster than anyone expected. Names scrawled hastily on sign-up sheets, phone numbers exchanged, and maps unfolded on the hoods of trucks. It wasn't just the usual faces returning. There were newcomers, people who had quietly watched from the sidelines before, now stepping forward. And then came the grandmother. She appeared on a shaky live stream, her face worn but unflinching. The video spread faster than official press releases ever could. "We can't give up," she said, her voice trembling but strong enough to carry. "I don't care what they say about odds. I don't care how long it's been. Lily and Jack need all of us, every single one of us, to keep looking, to keep sharing, to keep believing." Thousands watched, hundreds shared, and for the first time in too many days, there was movement, not just in the search, but in the spirit of the town. Asterisk, the letter changed everything. For 21 days, the streets of Pictou County had grown quieter, the search groups smaller, the conversations more hushed. People still cared. They always cared. But energy fades when all you're chasing is absence. Then suddenly the silence broke. By dusk that same day, the candles were back. The familiar stretch along Main Street, just outside the town hall, glowed once again. Rows of flickering flames lined the sidewalks, casting trembling light on the faces gathered there. There was no music, no speeches, just the murmured sound of names being spoken into the night. Lily, Jack. Volunteer rosters, which for weeks had been half empty, began to swell. At the folding tables, pens scratched across paper, names filling every line. Retired mill workers, high school seniors, parents who had been keeping their kids close at home, they all showed up. Some brought dogs, others brought ATVs. A few brought nothing but their time, and a willingness to follow a map into the cold darkness. And then, the grandmother's live stream. Her phone camera shook slightly as she held it, the glow of a single lamp behind her. Her voice caught almost immediately, but she refused to stop. "I want everyone to hear me," she began. "I don't care if it's 2 people or 2,000 watching. Lily and Jack need us, all of us. I don't care what's been said. I don't care how many days it's been. We are not done. Do you hear me? We are not done." In under an hour, the video had been shared across every local Facebook group, reposted on TikTok, clipped on Twitter. Comments poured in, not just from neighbors, but from strangers in cities, hundreds of miles away. People offering drones, search dogs, even vacation time from work to come help. The community wasn't just reacting to the news. They were reclaiming something that had been slipping away: belief. And in Pictou County, belief is not a small thing. It's the spark that lights a vigil. It's the reason someone laces up their boots at midnight. It's what turns one person searching into 100. A letter never meant to be read, maybe the key to finding them. It was tucked away, silent, hidden, waiting for the right set of eyes. And when it finally surfaced, it carried with it not just Malehya's fear, but the sound of every unanswered question we've been too afraid to ask. If she knew something, why didn't she tell? If she was planning to run, why didn't she take them? And if these words were a warning, who was meant to hear it? We can't go back and ask her. We can't change the days we've already lost. But we can decide what happens with the days we still have. Because this isn't just a case anymore. It's not just a headline. It's 2 children, Lily and Jack, who should be at home tonight, who should be laughing in their backyard, who should never have been made to disappear. So I'm going to say this once, and I need you to hear me. If you know something, speak now, not tomorrow. Now. A detail, a sighting, a conversation you overheard, even something you thought was too small to matter. Say it, share it, because what you think is nothing could be the thing that breaks this wide open. Time is critical, but there's still time to save them. And if this letter was their last cry for help, then we owe it to them to answer, loud enough for the whole world to hear. Before we end tonight, I want you to think about something. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone watching this knows something that could change everything. Maybe that someone is you. Drop in the comments where you're watching from. Let the family see how far the search for Lily and Jack has reached. City by city, country by country. Let them see they are not forgotten, that strangers thousands of miles away are still holding on to hope for them. And don't walk away yet. The next update in this story, it's not just an update, it's a revelation. It's the kind of detail that will make you question everything you thought you knew about this case. So stay here, watch it. Because if you're going to help us piece this together, you need to know every single thing we know. We'll see you there.